War Report family, it's your boy Mike G here with my guy Ike Jones and B Will. C-Dub has the night off tonight. It's his anniversary. So tonight we're talking A-Day preview and ESPN's recently released FPI, and we're going to see where Auburn's ranked. But for now, let's jump into this war room.
You are now listening to the War Report. Wednesday night War Room. Let's go!
Woo! We are in here on a Wednesday night. War Report family.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. Guys, how are you feeling tonight? It's Wednesday. A-Day is in a few days. It's almost like we got football coming.
Man, it is time. It is time.
A little bit. It is time. It is time.
I'm looking forward to this weekend, man. It's going to be a good time if the weather holds up, you know.
Yeah, listen, they forecasted some rain. It looks like it's going to hit early in the morning and hopefully be clear to mild by 1 p.m. Central when A-Day is slated to start. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that they'll actually have good weather today so we can get a good look at the preview of what we're going to see this fall. I see that our usuals are filing in here. I want to recognize Big and B Ham becoming a member. Welcome to Insider.
Welcome. Shut.
Right. George Miller, I see you in here. Auburn Dad for Life. Dallas Schwartz. Patrick Perry. Listen, we have the best community. We got the best Auburn community on the internet, hands down. I've been completely blown away by the amount of support and the conversation that happens in our group. So, let's dig right into this. A-Day, what are we expecting here? If you're a part of our community, you may have seen Ike and I went on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, to talk a little A-Day preview. We talked a little Bo Nix. We talked a little Brian Harsin. And he had some questions about, what do we expect to see here? So, B, I'm going to start with you. What do you expect to see Saturday? What are you looking for Saturday during A-Day?
Man, it's got to be the quarterback situation. That's it. That's all I want to see. Everything else, I have confidence in resolving itself. O-line and quarterback are kind of on the same page as far as what we think we have and what we've seen over the last 2 years as far as production and consistency. And they're both suffering at about the same clip. There's no way of knowing what we're going to get. There's no way of knowing how far behind the 8 ball the O-line was simply because of coaching and system before. There's no way of knowing the same for the quarterback position, whether it's Bo or somebody different, because the guys behind Bo didn't get any quality instruction if the starter didn't. So it's all a big question mark. My number one question that I want to see a lot, but what do I think we'll find out? I think we'll find out how much progress has Bo made in these 4 weeks. That's what we'll find out. We'll see if that whole making the same mistake twice remark was very pointed or not. That sounds like a guy whose number one quarterback was doing some of the same things over and over again that he should have been doing. And that was Brian Harsin being nice about it. Not even nice about it. He was just saying it direct without throwing Bo under the bus. There's no bus riding yet. The Gus bus is gone.
So did he specifically say the quarterback position is who was making the repeated mistakes?
He didn't. And so that's why it's an assumption to say he's talking about Bo. But how many mistakes do other players on the offense or defense get to make? Like
offensive line could be like blocking responsibilities could be wrong, right? Like it's like we've gone over this 3 times. When we're doing this, you step first with your right foot, and this is how you do the slide protection when we call this audible. It could be an offensive line mistake that's happening consistently.
It could be. It could be.
Listen, at the end of the day, Harsin he talked specifically about Bo, right? And he said that, he's got to be better under pressure. And you're not always going to get a clean pocket. Before anybody jumps down my throat, these are Harsin's words. You're not always going to get a clean pocket in the SEC. And your decision-making under pressure just has to improve. Right. There is a lot of misconceptions about how many times that Bo actually threw the ball away last year. He didn't throw the ball away that much. Yeah. And what Harsin
thrown the ball away more.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what Harsin was driving at. Right. Like, what kind of decisions are you going to make when the pressure is on? Because sometimes the best play to make is no play.
Right.
And live to fight another day. Right.
Yeah, so he did specifically say that about Bo, right? Like there's no mincing words. He was specific. Well, he was specifically talking to our quarterbacks about a lot of things. Right. But he, basically the idea is that, and we know this is a problem that Bo has had of, wanting to try to do too much on a play. He's like, listen, we've got to figure out how to not throw the ball to the other team. It's okay. It's all right for us to fight for another down by throwing the ball away or throwing it to a check down. You just pick up 2 or 3 yards. And I think his quote was, we want every possession to end in a kick, right? Whether that's an extra point, a punt, or a field goal, right? Like he wants every possession to end in a kick. So no turnovers, whether that's on downs or fumbles or interceptions. We're just not going to be giving the other team the ball, is what his goal is.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's what Harsin owes Bo or anybody who's playing quarterback. He owes them some competent plays with some options to throw the ball to.
Yep.
They owe that to this offensive line. They owe that to these receivers, because these guys, by all, from what we can see, are working their asses off right now. And come fall, they're going to have to trust that the coaches are going to call the right plays to put them in the right positions for everybody to make a play, not just Bo.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's what I am looking for. I'm looking for some coaching competency. Now, so I know a lot of eyes will be on the players, but I'm watching the coaches, man. Like, if the players are buying in and they look like they know what their assignments are, I expect the defense to make some plays. I won't be upset if the defense wins A-Day. I won't at all.
Right.
And I don't think that will indicate that we're going to have offensive struggles in the fall.
Yeah.
I hope that, going 1v1s, I saw there was a comment in here early asking me if they're going 1v1s yet. The answer is yes. They are doing 1v1s in practice.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is the toughest competition that our offense is going to see all year in practice on our practice field, because we have had championship level defenses. So, that's what I'm hoping to see. So we talk a lot about offense. I want to go back to you on the defensive side of the ball. What are you hoping to see this A-Day from Derek Mason's defense?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this a little bit when we talked with Mark Rogers. If you guys haven't seen that, that's live on his channel, the Voice of College Football. Really, for me, it's going to be a trenches thing, right? I really want to see what the defensive line looks like. We talked about this a little bit Sunday with the transition of JJ Pegues over to the defensive line. It had me wondering, is our defensive line not solid as far as depth? I'm not saying we don't have 3, maybe 4 solid starters there, but like, can we go and rotate those guys out and have enough depth to be able to play mixed fronts, right? Which is something that we've heard that they're going to do. We know they're transitioning to a 3-4 likely as the base defense, but there will be some 4-man fronts. They even talked about having the odd 5-man front as well, right? So do we have enough defenders to be able to do all of the things as multiple as they want to be up front? And with JJ moving over there, I want to see how he's going to perform. We've heard lore of, the 2-sack day that he had his first day really in a scrimmage. But is that something that we're going to be able to rely on consistently? Is that a product of our offensive line, or is this guy really just going to be beastly like that, right? So I'm going to be looking pretty heavily at that. I think the only other thing that I'm going to be looking at specifically is the outside linebackers. I'm pretty confident in our inside linebacking core that we have with the guys returning, as well as, Wesley Steiner apparently is getting a lot of running inside linebacker. And I think Cam Riley is playing some inside linebacker, but like guys like Romello Height, right, who was out for the majority of last year with an injury. Guys like Moultrie, TD Moultrie, who is going to be out there. You know, I want to see what that outside linebacking group is going to look like. So I'm not worried about the defensive backfield at all. You notice I'm not saying anything about them. I think we're deep enough there. I think we're talented enough there. Should not be a huge problem, but the front seven, with whoever that's going to be, minus, you know, Papo and McLean, that's where my eyes are going to be focused defensively.
B, what you looking for on defense here this Saturday?
Defense, man, I want to see interior line. I've heard a lot about Derek Hall on the edge. He's showing, he's flashing, he's consistent. And that's what you want to hear coming out of camp. I want to hear who is everybody talking about. And I'm glad everybody's talking about him. But we lost the guy who was flashing the most on the inside when Wright got hurt. They're moving Pegues, and me and Ike both think it's mostly out of need. So yeah, I want to see what our interior line looks like. Who's getting snaps? I know we got Burks on the inside too. Truesdale's back. Pegues is there now. There's one more I'm missing, but the edges should be remarkable considering that Wooden is back, Hall is flashing. Then we're gonna get one very productive guy from Northwestern here in a few months, and then we've got a very high ranked recruit coming off the edge a month or so after that. So listen, we're gonna have at least 4 qualified edge rushers, and we haven't had any the last 2 years, honestly. I mean, Marlon Davidson did some of everything because he could, but that wasn't his natural position. So I'm glad we're gonna have the outside figured out. I want to know what the inside is going to look like. Just moving over the defensive line for a week. I mean, listen, man, he's got a long way to go. And it's not that he can't be effective in spring camp and in A-Day, but I don't think our offensive line is the gold standard of what we need to be measuring ourselves against right now. And that's, that's just being honest. We've watched tape. So we know what our offensive line looks like. So even though they can improve, I think it's going to be a long time before they really come into their own. They've got to repetitions, man. Offense, especially in offensive line, for offensive linemen, they have to play together. They have to communicate with each other more than probably. I don't want to say more than any position group. The secondary needs to communicate a lot as well. But I don't think that the offensive line is going to be the best they can be until probably that 4-game mark, honestly. And that's just the reality. So I don't think Pegues measured up against our current offensive line or our offensive line on Saturday is a true measurement of what he's going to be. I hope if he's going to be there, that he wants to be there, that he enjoys playing that position. And if both of those things are true, then I hope he's productive there for a really long time. I don't want the guy hammering away at a block and he doesn't want to be doing it. So interior is what I'm most worried about.
Yeah, defensively, I'm really excited to see what Drayshawn Miller is going to do to help anchor the secondary. So secondary should be a strength for us. I'm anxious to see the JJ Pegues experiment. Right. I mean, that's a big move that they made, and I want to see if that's going to pay immediate dividends. This spring. How quickly is he picking that up? Defensively. And then, I just want to see these guys flying around the ball with lots of energy. I want to see the offense be somewhat limited here because if you can't play defense in our league, if you can't hold how high-powered offenses, to their season minimums or lows, right, then it's going to be a long season, right? So if our offense does not take the next step, we are going to be in a lot of grinded out fights, and we're going to be leaning on our defense as we have traditionally over the last 8 years under Gus, right? Yeah. So we haven't talked a lot about special teams. So I don't know how much about special teams we're going to learn this.
Very little.
Like,
right. Like punts aren't going to be live. They're not probably even going to be doing real kick returns. Field goal kicking maybe, but it's not going to be pressure situations. They're not going to be really rushing the kicker. So we won't see any like block formations coming from either field goals or punts. So punter's going to be an interesting situation, like I really do want to be able to see a punter that's got like a really booming leg. Like I don't know why we can't really get those in here the last couple of years. It's just interesting. You know, we've been so good at recruiting field goal kickers, but like just kind of decent on punters the last couple of times.
Right.
Which again, Aiden Marshall's not bad. Like, I'm not trying to act like he's a terrible punter. He just doesn't have that, dang, bro. Like, he just kicked that much 60 yards kind of leg, right?
Yeah. Right.
But I think, you know, I'd be interested to see kind of what the punting situation is. But
yeah. Well, we're at the 15-minute mark, so I want to get to some of these comments here. JT Martin says, I want to see what this D-line look like if we get pressure this year. Top five defense.
Listen, I would love to see us have a top 5 defense. That would be wonderful.
Right.
And so when we start measuring defense, right? So we talk about top 5 defenses. Are we talking about scoring defense? Are we talking about in yards? Like, what metric do we want to see the defense improve? Because
scoring is all that matters.
I mean, it does, but it's like when you have an offense that's been inept, flipping the field matters too, right? Because what happens with our defenses under Kevin Steele a lot is like they'll have a bunch of really great games, but then they'll have a bunch of games where it's a lot of bend but don't break. They're giving up a bunch of yards, and then they're stopping people deep in, like, and so now our offense is having to dig itself out of a hole. I would like to see a little bit more stingy a defense that's flipping fields more. Hopefully we get some more opportunistic defenses as well and turn up. Our defense has been fairly opportunistic on the back end. We didn't see a lot of forced fumbles. So hopefully that's going to be a point of emphasis of actually getting the ball out for tacklers. But I would really love to see our defense be better at stopping teams from getting like just listen, steel curtain type of stuff, right? Like I know that's going to be difficult just because there's a lot more passing that's going to be happening in the SEC these days, and scoring definitely matters, right? Like, you want to stop people from scoring, but I also want to be able to not feel like, oh my goodness, they're about to score. Whew. All right, we stopped them.
Yeah.
Well, Billy Jones says that he thinks that the tight end group was just loaded. This is kind of where I was at. I didn't feel that way, right? Yeah,
no, I don't disagree that they're loaded. I don't, but my question. So the question I asked Sunday was the same question: is loaded? Okay, great. So there's 5-6 guys in that tight end room. Where was JJ Pegues ranked amongst those guys? Is he at the dead bottom of that? And so it's like, look, you're not really going to get much playing time at tight end because all of these guys rank ahead of you. We can use you on the defense. Let's get you over here, get playing time. Or is he like 2 or 3 and they're like making a real decision between which of these places can we put him?
Right.
You know, and or then there is a third option of like, listen, you're really talented, but we can afford to lose you in this tight end group. They need you on the defensive line. Right. So that there's places where that argument can go, that there's room to not really understand what the thought process was behind it. At the end of the day, as I said Sunday, what matters to me is JJ is bought into it, and then it pays dividends for him when it comes to him being able to be productive at the defensive line, because I am fully certain if it does not work for him, he's not going to stay at Auburn.
Right. I go for AU Tiger says, I feel like we can finally trust the words coming from the coaches. You know what? Again, we've said it over and over again. If they're selling snake oil, they're doing a really good job, because I'm buying it too. You know, Low Note says he thinks that Bo will surprise us with better coaching. I think that is everybody's hope. Bob Edwards wants to know about Shale Garnett. Right. I want to see. Right. I just want to know about every other quarterback. Who's going to be number 2, right? So who's going to be number 2? And that's the story. That's, to me, that's the biggest storyline of A-Day, is do we see a clear now pecking order? Now we're all resigned that Bo's going to start the season. You know, how long he stays in that starting spot is really up to him. But if he gets pulled or if he gets hurt, God forbid, because we never want to see injuries, do we have a competent backup, right? Like, I think so. Is it going to be Shale Garnett? Do they decide to shelve Demetrius Davis for another year? I mean, a lot of eyes are going to be on that, right? And so Alabama Prep says, can JJ go both ways? I think that's the plan right now. I definitely think that's the plan right now. Bob Edwards was in DC last week. I'm super offended that you did not hit me up while you were here. Hit me up next time, bro. Let's go get a beer. And then Heath Denson says, I think the D-line may surprise some this weekend. Hearing nice comments from the coaches and like to see how Derek Hall does on the edge. Brian, what are your feelings about Derek Hall here?
Well, yeah, like whenever I hear the same name every time a different assistant coach comes and talks to the press, every time the press gets to watch when I hear the same names, when the offensive line is saying the same name that the defensive coordinator is saying, that's good news. That's always good news. Whoever is showing up the most consistently, that's a really, really good thing for us. Now, all things considered, they're going against our current offensive line. And you have to take all production by the defensive line with a tiny grain of salt, at least. But Derek Hall was a highly recruited player. He has been here for a couple of years, so physically he's ready for the game. Assuming that all the guys who are getting a lot of burn right now, they lived up to their potential and they did what the coaches asked them to do in the strength program for those 7 weeks. So there's a lot to be excited about for anybody who is getting a lot of mention right now, because that means they did what was asked of them. And if they have the benefit of having experience, even if it was under a previous coach or coaching staff, if you do what's asked and you're impressing these coaches and you are physically and mentally experienced playing the game, that's good news. That's good news. I expect Derek Hall. What I'm really wondering is, are they going to hold back the defense? Like, if, again, we talked about this a little bit on Sunday. Bo may get the nod to start on A-Day and in the fall. It's not outside the realm of possibility that he could stink. Like, that's a real possibility that he could get out there, that our O-line is under duress because our defensive line can beat them up. That's no problem. And Bo makes some of the same mistakes that he's making, enough of them for Coach Harsin to actually talk about what he expects you to do. There would be no reason for him to reference, we're not going to win every time. Sometimes you got to throw it away. Like, he wouldn't be having that conversation if he was throwing darts and Bo was going 11 for 11 with 2 touchdowns in practice. Like, that conversation doesn't happen if Bo is showing out and lighting it up. Okay, those remarks from Harsin were clear indications that Bo is still making some of the same mistakes he always made as a starter. And to me, that means, okay, what are you going to do, Coach Harsin, if he stinks? I want to know what you're going to do if he stinks, because if he stinks, I want to see the next guy. I want to see Shea Garnett. That's my best case scenario. Not that Bo necessarily stink. Even if Bo doesn't stink, but he doesn't play great, and Shea plays like the entire second quarter and lights it up. That's what I want to happen. I want to see what this coaching staff does when one player clearly outplays the other. What do you do? Are you going to stick with your pecking order that you had at the start of practice? Or are you going to say, you know what? He looked really good at the end of spring. We got it wide open right now. Right. Nobody's anything. We got it wide open.
I think that the dream is that whoever wins the number 2 job just barely lost, or gets the number 2 spot, just barely lost it, so that we're in just as capable hands, right? In case of, again, underperforming or injury or just fit in terms of who we're playing. Corey Weber, thank you for so much, man. Corey's one of our regulars. All hail Bruce, doing good work. Agreed. I'm hoping that he can bring some of that basketball optimism that we have every year over to the football field. And Marion, Matt K, I appreciate the sarcasm in this comment. If you watch us, I have resigned myself to the fact that Bo is going to start based on interviews that we conducted with current staff. It just seems like that's the plan right now. That's how they feel. But I have no doubt that they'll pull the plug if need be. I don't think we're going to go the Gus route. I think that we're done with that. That whole, this is our guy. Nigel Powell, thanks for becoming a member. My man, since Nigel signed up, I think this is a good time to segue kind of into what we got coming. Chop it up with a pro. If you don't know what this is our segment where we talk with former players, and we were breaking down film. The first one was a Q&A that we did with Chris Todd. It was a lot of fun. Due to technical errors, some of you got to see that weren't insiders, but Ike has promised that you will not be able to peek through the blinds on this one. So chop it up with a pro. Chris Todd film breakdown coming. We're actually going to be breaking down film with Chris Todd. He's going to give us his insights on what is supposed to happen on plays that we saw last season and what we hope to see different. If you don't know what Chop It Up with a Pro film breakdown is, Here's a sneak peek.
The fake is gonna bring that safety down, but that safety did a good job of recovering and picking up the over route.
What do you need to make sure that you're aware of in case something doesn't happen?
He's got to look back to the left.
Right.
Looking at the center's footwork, with whichever way the center's sliding, he's going to step with that foot first. But the center and the right guard have got to see that quicker.
When you have Tank leak out, Tank is gonna catch that ball every time they do it. This over route that they're running is gonna be open.
Woo, listen,
Man, if y'all ain't coming to this, chop it up, bro. I'm trying to tell you. Chris
Become an insider and chop it up with us. And speaking of becoming an insider, this is how you do it. $5.99 will get you there. If you haven't seen one of these chop it ups, ask anybody in the comment section about what these film reviews are like. This is something that's really unique. We're working with broadcast footage right now, but we're working on a deal to get the all 22 to actually do these film breakthroughs from. So to the extent that you guys continue to support us and watch and donate, it's helping put us one step closer toward doing some of these all 22 film breakdowns. So how do you support us? GoFundMe. You can find this link in the About section of our channel. Besides becoming an insider, this is one of the best ways to support our content. You can also hit the merch store. This is live. Get Your Weight Up gear is on the shelves in stock, ready to go. I really like this stuff, and a lot of you do too as well. I've been seeing pictures of our merchandise on Facebook, and we really appreciate everyone who goes this route to support what we do, gentlemen.
I was about to say, somebody just asked when it airs, and then they asked this question right here. Go ahead.
Okay, so Chop It Up with the Pro is next Thursday. We do 2 a month, and it's every other Thursday. So next Thursday with Chris Todd, not tomorrow, but the next Thursday, right? We will do that at 9 p.m. Live. And Chris will come on. This is strictly for you guys. This is engagement for you guys to be able to ask Chris questions, and also in the second one of the month, see the film and get a visualization of what we talk about every week on these lives with you guys. So we're really honored and blessed to be able to do that. So next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, you have to be an insider to see it. Become an insider. I privy you. Please. So we are.
But you don't have to be there. The question is, you don't have to be there live to see it if you are an insider. So we do post those Chop It Ups in a special playlist specifically for our insiders to be able to view them later. So if you are not able to make it live, don't worry. We got you. You know, we'll make sure that gets up there. It's just you have to wait for a little bit because we might have to do some post cleanup, very little. But if we do have to do some, then we'll toss it back up there for you guys.
Right. Bob Edwards says they are awesome. How much is needed for the all 22? Bob, $1 million.
It's so hard to like. So here's the reality of the all 22 is it's just really hard to get permission to get it. And so we're trying to work all of the inroads that we have in different places. I've gotten some all 22 film for some previous years, right? But trying to figure out how we can get it for last year, which I don't have yet. And this year coming up is what's going to be the more difficult thing. So
yeah, definitely. And it's not all money, right? It's also relationships. I mean, you definitely have to be liked by the right people. So we seem to be headed that direction as you guys continue. But a big part of that is the support that you guys give us by just showing up to watch. So beside the fact that you guys donate and become insiders, you know, just you viewing our live cast every week and making sure those numbers are up, liking like this if you haven't liked it, and making sure that you engage in the comments puts us one step closer to be able to get to the film we need to fully break down. Wesley Hilson says, if you haven't seen the Coach Yacht series, it's so worth it. He is an amazing guy. And he helped produce some amazing teams here at Auburn that we are hoping to see, you know, under Harsin, right? Some of the same. So he talked about, if you didn't know, Jeff Pittman, our current strength and conditioning coach, worked under Coach Yox as a GA.
Right.
So he comes from the Yox coaching tree, and that's significant because that man knows his strength and conditioning. He is a friend of the War Rapport. Walt Taylor's in here.
Walt,
my man. Listen, Walt is I don't want to say he's my most prominent member, but he's been riding with us for a while. Thinking that Devin Barrett should get the bulk of the carries in A-Day. Thoughts?
The bulk of the I mean, so we know what we have in Tank. I don't think we need to see a ton from him. Shivers is a known commodity, so I would argue, yeah, Devin probably needs to get the most work out there. So yeah, I'd like to see him. If we're talking about who should get the highest number of carries, Devin is the one that needs to work himself back into shape. I think the thing is, though, I think everybody's going to need to see some of that live combat, just to make sure that we are able to understand what responsibilities are on different scenarios. But yeah, so I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't know if any of you guys have any thoughts on it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anybody but Tank, right? Like, I think we know what Tank's going to do, so I don't need to see him tear up A-Day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I could care less if Tank gets but five carries and then they're like, all right, you're done. Go sit him down somewhere.
Two people and then sit down and don't tear ACL this spring, right? Please, I think is what we're hoping for. And the last thing I want to see is some overzealous defender.
I don't think we have defenders that are that overzealous, honestly, because I think they all know what Tank is and what he's coming for at the backfield.
Put bubble wrap on Tank. I put an orange no contact jersey on. I do not want to see him take any hits this spring. Lance Morgan, appreciate you being here, War Eagle. Just got done watching Mike and Ike on The Voice. Good seeing my boys. Yes, it was really good to be over there with Mark Rogers. So if you haven't seen that video, you can go over to Mark Rogers TV on YouTube and watch the segment we did. We previewed A-Day, and then we talked about, how we feel about the hire. Stuff that you guys have heard us say before. We just said it over there with Mark. It was a lot of fun talking to him. So be prepared to see us all over YouTube here in the next few months. Not just on the War Report channel. We got some things in the work.
That's a good question from y'all go ahead with that one.
Right. It says, without Caesar asking, if you aren't liking and subscribing, what are you doing? Come on. Listen, he channeled the spirit of Caesar when he's not here. I appreciate that, Daniel. So what did you say?
Corey was asking, whatever happened with the status on that Vandy running back? We thought he was going to follow Mason here, but we still haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody. This is an interesting topic of conversation when it comes to the transfer portal, right? So the NCAA just recently changed the rules with the transfer portal, no longer requiring student athletes to sit out a year of eligibility when transferring.
Did that go official?
Well, so I don't know if it's official or not. I just know that they're making talks about it. I haven't seen whether or not it's a real deal, but it's an interesting thing. But I was listening to on my morning ride, I listened to a lot of sports commentary, and they were talking about how the low percentage of transfer athletes that actually find a home when entering the transfer portal. It's some 20% or something goofy like that, where I wouldn't have thought that, because we hear about a lot of the marquee 4-star, 5-star guys when they transfer getting somewhere else. But often a lot of those guys will enter the transfer portal and then have to go to, a junior college or to a Division II school, or you just don't hear from them again because nobody picks them up out of the portal. If you go and look at transfer portal stuff right now, you'll see there's a lot of people still in there to be had, right? And it's just that they don't seem to fit anywhere else, or the reason why they left is a problem that another school doesn't want to take on. So I think it's really interesting when it comes to transfer portal stuff, when you see people who don't end up getting picked up, what the backstory behind that is. I don't know what the story is on this Vandy guy. A lot of people have been talking about he still may end up in Auburn when it's all said and done. Right. If anybody knows the kid, it's going to be our defensive coordinator, who was his head coach. Right. So if that has not happened yet, you have to think either we don't want him or he doesn't want to come here. I can't see a third option in there. Right. I mean, maybe there's, a bunch of school he's thinking about, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And you would think that
transfer rule goes into effect this fall, according to Auburn Dad. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah. If you would think if he was going to transfer, though, you would want to get in for spring for the installation of a new offense. And that's why this smells to me, because it's listen, if you were going to get wherever you're going to go, you would want to go sooner than later. Get some reps, get in front of the coaches, get in the strength program. But
Playboy D says he's waiting for the SEC. So apparently the SEC is holding this up. I don't even know what that means or what that's about. But
yeah. Listen, Playboy D, appreciate you. I see you out there in the YouTube network holding it down for us. Always appreciate the support. I think these transfer rules, if you listen to our channel, I am in favor of giving student athletes more flexibility, because they get sold a lot of lumps of coal by some of these coaches.
Right.
They don't hold up their end of the bargain. They get fired. They take other jobs. And then the student athlete is just stuck. Right. And I've said it a million times that players commit to coaches over institutions primarily.
Right.
So when your coach leaves, or if he lies to you, and they don't hold up, you should get a freebie to transfer and not have to sit out, waste a year of your life because the coach didn't hold up or the institution didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Mm-hmm. So, I'm really in favor of that, man.
Okay.
I really think.
I see. My bad. Seeing. So apparently it was the kind of same situation that was happening before this rule, where he didn't want to transfer and have to sit out a year because the SEC wasn't allowing people to transfer within the conference. That's the same thing that happened. Yeah, right. That's the same thing that happened with Gatewood, right? When he was trying to go to Kentucky, they were trying to make him sit out a year. So apparently the SEC was holding this up and he wanted to play immediately. So there you go. There was a third option.
Yeah, he should be able to play immediately.
Yeah.
And it's complete crap what they do to these kids.
Yeah, so, it's not fair. I mean, I understand, people are like, but it's not like there is a guy who called into one of the shows. And he's like, it's terrible for college football because, you stop being able to know who's on your team because, this new guy, well, you just pay attention. Just pay more attention to when somebody transfers in and out and you're fine.
Right. Okay,
you just want to not pay attention. I don't think that it makes football necessarily worse. I do think that there are those stories that happen of a kid. Like, do you think Mac Jones happens at Alabama if he is one of those, I'm not starting like I thought I should, and he transfers somewhere else, right? He sits behind two guys who were, led Alabama to national titles previously, and then he comes in and he gets his opportunity. Like, do you think that kind of story happens in these places where a kid sits for a couple of years and then he becomes, some star player his junior or senior year, if this transfer portal rule had been in effect longer ago? Like, I don't know if those stories happen, but I do know that we don't get situations like LSU that happened a couple of years ago if the transfer portal rule isn't there, right? Because you have a kid, or Justin Fields going from Georgia, right? Like, you just don't get those types of stories without people being able to control their own fate and saying, this isn't the right situation for me.
Facts.
Let me go somewhere else so I can actually play. And now, you've got kids that are going to the league that probably wouldn't have had that same opportunity because they wouldn't have had the same number of snaps, or they wouldn't have had the same film out there, or they wouldn't have been playing in the right offense that allowed them to highlight their skills in the right way. So, like Jalen Hurts is an example, right? Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts, though he was a prolific quarterback at Alabama, I do think his time at Oklahoma actually catapulted his draft stock a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of it.
So, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts doesn't get drafted if he doesn't transfer, but do you think his draft stock is hurt if he was the starter and then he gets to be the second fiddle guy for 2 years behind Tua before he goes to the league, or him going to Oklahoma, being able to play immediately and then being in the Heisman conversation allows him to now be a draftable quarterback because they can see, okay, you can play in 2 different conferences, 2 different systems. You can have a ton of, and then playing with a quarterback friendly system that allows him to put up a bunch of passing numbers. I think that absolutely helps that kid be able to get drafted a little bit higher. So absent of the transfer portal, does Jalen Hurts have that same opportunity? I think no. Right.
Yeah, I'm all about the kids doing what's best for them, because if it's still going to be within the rules for a coach to just leave this year and say, all right, I'm going to another job. If you can get off the plane, if you can do it, I mean, no offense, what Brian Harsin just did. I love Boise. I've been here my whole life. Auburn. I'll see y'all later, Boise. I'm going to put on this Auburn hat. Okay, well, good. Well, if you can do that, then let the kids do that. That should be easy. They aren't even getting paid millions. They aren't getting paid $5 million a year. If you can get pay that much and still just flat change your mind, then at least let them go somewhere that suits their skills and their ambitions and gives them a chance to put whatever they have to offer on display for their future. They're already putting up their bodies to try to chase this profession. Their college years to a certain extent are, I don't want to say stifled. You can still do stuff other college kids do, but they got a lot of stuff kind of planned. In like being a college athlete is still work. It may be fun. I know it's a lot of fun. I was in college with them, so I know it's a lot of fun. However, listen, man, Mike, I remember distinctly. Mike G, I don't know if you remember this. So it was my freshman year and your sophomore year. And we were trying to get into a class that was an easy A. Dr. James Brown, organic gardening.
Organic gardening.
Organic gardening.
It's organic gardening for the record.
Took me
But,
back.
yeah.
Organic gardening
Was in that class. So we didn't have the class, right? So it's the first week. And going in there and like, man, maybe we can get it. I was like, I don't know, Mike. Man, that was the thing. That you just go to the class you're trying to get into, because if somebody doesn't show up day one, they get dropped. You go right to the teacher after class. Hey, this is my name. Yeah. Did you have any spots left? And you get in the class. So Mike goes up to the teacher right after. He says, I'm actually, I need to kind of work around the football team schedule because, I got to be this, and got to, practice and all that stuff. And they said, I don't know if you, and he was like, Mike was like, okay, if you need the number to so and so, I can give you that number. It's no problem. And so I'm standing with him, and I just gave him my name, like, yeah, Brian Wilson, that's my name.
I forgot all about it.
And so 2 days later, we check our schedule, and
we got class. Some organic gardeners in the
Yeah.
Damien was up in there. My man D. What's up, baby? What's going on?
Organic garden.
Man.
Brian Dixon, what's up?
So
yes,
listen,
we were in that class.
Let me tell y'all asses about organic gardening. Right? We're gonna segue here for a second. Brian, you started this, right? Like,
all right.
So it was an interesting time at Auburn. I mean, because I had to film practices, right? Like I could not take afternoon classes.
Right.
I had to be in the early morning classes with the football players. And I'll say those classes were different. And I'll just leave that there. But we got priority scheduling, right? Mm-hmm. Because of I had to get the class, I had to get my hours, right? And I had to the film practice. I had to be free by 2:00 after 2:30 latest every afternoon, and then scoot all the way over to the athletic department to start to get ready to film practice. And it was, it's a culture built around football. Mm-hmm. A lot of it, and what I remember about these athletes is that their lives are so structured for them, right? Like they don't get to have a part-time job. When we talk about paying players, these guys are dead broke, most of them. They can't take their girlfriends on dates. They can't. They've got to go to class. They've got to go to practice, and then right after practice, they have to hit study hall. And after study hall, the good players have their asses in their dorm room and are in bed by 9:00, so they can get 8 hours at least. Wake up in the morning and do it all over again, right? So, it's some fun for the athletes, dude. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of structure. Being a student athlete is not all rainbows and daisies like some people think it is, right? Like, so they have to work. They have a lot that's given to help them succeed that the average student does not. But they still have to put in the work, man. They still have to show up. And there's an accountability system put in there when they don't show up to study halls and things that are essentially given to them, right? So
I think that's the argument for a lot of people. I know we're trying to go to these guys that have joined. Let me segue to that really quickly. Thomas Ponder, appreciate you jumping in here.
Hey, Thomas,
making that official as well. We got Richard Montgomery has come on board doing his thing. And that's the argument from a lot of people is that the amount of money that is invested into those kids' future, right? Like, they set up, study halls that are just for the players but at the end of the day, those guys want to make money. Those girls want to make money just like everybody else while they're in college and not be struggling to, go somewhere and go get groceries. Like, I get it. Yeah, you've got, a cafeteria where you can go and eat that specifically, and they're doing the meal preps and stuff like that. But every now and then, every now and then, though, you want to go and get something on your own. Is it okay if I don't wear my sweats that you gave me every day to class. I can go buy my own clothes every now and then and wear that to class, right? If I don't come from money, what am I supposed to do to be able to do that as a student athlete? You can't let me know if somebody gives it to me. Now, all of a sudden, we got an NCAA investigation around it. So I have to just continue to wear Auburn sweats every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like I'm not, I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole of that conversation too much, but I am definitely in favor of trying to figure out a way that these student athletes can make some money.
Full cost of attendance, right? The full cost of attendance. And it's not just a scholarship, right? And dorm housing, right? Like I just think for what they do for the university, for the community, and for the athletic department, it's not a whole lot to ask, to give them some sort of stipend that just helps them be able to pays them like a part-time job.
Yeah.
A part-time job. I mean, I worked 2 jobs in college, right? Like I filmed practice and I worked at the university hotel and conference center as an AV guy, right? Like, so, and that was just barely to buy books and eat ramen noodles every day.
Right.
So I can only imagine what it's like as a student athlete. King Dunlap's in here. He says, imagine having 2 kids in college, right?
Brutal,
man.
They did it. He did it. And then I missed a comment by Dion says,
that's a fact. Vegetable production. That was a
vegetable production.
Somebody mentioned the jogging class that was there, that was available, that they had up at the Student Activity Center. Like, it was a lot of that going on. But so here's the portion of it that rounds out the conversation. It's like, what do you do for the sports where it's not
that don't make the money,
that don't generate the money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I think that athletics makes enough money to be able to figure that out.
To cover them too, right?
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying I don't think you should pay football players at a football institution more money than you pay the soccer players. Like Auburn's football players shouldn't make more than Auburn gymnastics. Everybody just gets a stipend that they're going to get for being a student athlete because they don't do the scholarships differently. If you're a scholarship athlete, you're a scholarship athlete. It's not like, well, you're a scholarship athlete, but for one of our programs that's not nationally ranked. So we're only going to pay 75% of your tuition. But, it's not a merit-based system based upon how much money the athlete makes for the institution. You come here, we pay for your education plus this stipend. Cool.
Yeah.
I will say this, at the end of the day, and when you look at, if we can pay $21 million to fire a guy, you can afford to give these guys a stipend. I mean, this is just my feeling about it, right? So,
and it should make the institutions be a little more choosy about the contracts they give coaches, which is really where I think some of that money starts coming from, honestly. Instead of you come in and, hey, he had 11 win season back to back. All right, well, let's pay him $6 million a year. Wait a minute. No, wait. Yeah. Let's pay him $4 million a year. Because we need to make sure we are properly accommodating the players that are out there giving their skin to get us these wins.
Right.
The coaches aren't playing. The coaches are everybody is necessary, but the kids, blood, bone, sweat, all that, man, to get those wins, they need to be compensated.
Oh man, I forgot that Danielle was on the track team. She just said throw the track and field athletes some money too.
My wife was on the track team.
Yeah, Brian's wife was on the track team down there. I forgot.
Hey, listen. King says they have enough money to pay all the athletes.
For sure. That's not even. That's the thing. It's not even a question as to whether or not they can do it. It's about whether or not they're willing to.
Willing to do it, right? Yeah.
Right. And I don't care. I don't want to hear all this crap about they're supposed to be amateurs, and once you start paying them, they become professionals. Listen, the way that systems are being set up right now, you're going to lose your grip on collegiate athletics. Basketball's already starting to lose it because of the junior leagues and people being able to go overseas. You're starting to lose talent now. You need to figure this out before it gets away from you. And people start figuring out how to pay kids straight out of high school to come do some sort of intermediary program. And then you're not only going to lose the talent, you're going to lose out on the opportunity for a lot of these, like the quality of your product on the field is going to decrease because the talent's not there, number one. And number two, you're going to start to figure out that some of these kids, education wise, they're just not going to be contributors to society because they skipped college. right? Like you're losing your ability to mold young athletes into people who may not be professional athletes, but they are going to be people who can contribute well to society, that will learn lessons between what they're going to get in the classroom and the environment that they're going to be in, the social environment that they're in school, and the time management that they're required to have, because they're required to go to class and go to this and go to that and figure all those things out. Once you start losing that, then you start losing a contribution to your societies, right? And like this is, I think, like I said, this is a bigger conversation than should a kid get paid to come play a sport. I think it's a bigger conversation than that.
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of interesting comments in here. We won't have time to address them all, but we will be in our comment section after the video. So if you don't know, a big part of our community is engagement. So after this is over, if we can't get to your comment, please hit the comment section after. We will chop it up with you. Me in particular, I'm not going to put the comment up. I see Dion in here being petty about a bowl I broke in college. It's real petty, man. It's putting our stuff out here in front of the company. We just got, there's more than enough. I will say that. There's more than enough.
I disagree with the statement that there will never be a minor league like that. There have been leagues that they have tried to put together. The only reason that they didn't happen is because, or didn't stay sustained, was more so about attendance. But if you can figure out how to get that college athlete into that league, if they make the rules where instead of you getting, and I apologize if you are a former player that goes into this league, but like players who didn't make it into the NFL, if you're instead of putting those guys in there, you're getting more collegiate athletes to go there, and you're getting the fresh face of the new people who can't make it to the league yet. And you have now an alternative instead of college football. You absolutely can have a league like that, and people will pay to go see that, because now it becomes a thing for scouts to be able to go to. It becomes a farm league for the NFL. It definitely would work if somebody put the model together for it. So I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and allow them to develop their bodies a little bit for the beating they're going to take at the pro level, right? Yeah, so the extra step might not be a bad thing. Speaking of the pro level, chop it up with a pro. If you're just joining us and you missed the first half of this broadcast,
I need you to know that was a hell of a segue, though. I don't just we're not just going to real. I
almost applauded. I almost applauded. He was quick with it too.
Chop it up with a pro. You guys are silly. Next Thursday with Chris Todd. He is going to break down film with us. If you have not seen this, this will be exclusive to insiders. If you don't know what Chop It Up with a Pro is, here it is.
The fake is gonna bring that safety down, but that safety did a good job of recovering and picking up the over route.
What do you need to make sure that you're aware of in case something doesn't happen?
He's got to look back to the left.
Right.
Looking at the center's footwork, with whichever way the center's sliding, he's going to step with that foot first. But the center and the right guard have got to see that quicker.
When you have Tank leak out, Tank is going to catch that ball every time they do it. This over route that they're running is going to be open.
Listen, chop it up with a pro, Chris Todd. I am so looking forward to this. Again, if you have not seen Ike and these former players break down film, it is a thing of beauty. We are all learning a lot from these segments. Become an insider so that you can get access to Chop It Up with a Pro. $5.99 will get you there. If you're on an iPhone, you may have to sign up from a computer or use the desktop version in Safari. To see that join button and join us on YouTube next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will make these available to review after it's over. So if you're an insider and you miss it live, you can go back and watch it in our Chop It Up with a Pro playlist on our channel. Our GoFundMe is up. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. This is a great way to support the work that we do. We had a few super chats tonight. We always appreciate those. YouTube takes 45%. So if you want us to see more of that money, you can hit that GoFundMe. And then the merch store. This is high quality stuff, people. I wear it every day. You should too. Get your weight up. I got in trouble for saying that the get your weight up line would increase your bench by 20%. So if you put an extra 20 pounds on your bench and got hurt, I claim exactly zero responsibility for that injury.
Yeah,
So
somebody's in the gym with the bar on their neck because you talking about what the shirt was gonna do. You better chill out, man.
So I want to try.
We got somebody already. See, people need to know what's up.
Man,
They already jumping in here.
Appreciate that, Warden.
ATL. Appreciate
So
that.
I wanted to wrap up before we get to what we're talking about with the ESPN FPI. But what this transfer rule will actually do is what we're seeing happen in basketball. So the basketball season ended. We thought, all right, Sharif could come back another year. We got Powell, even though he was banged up or had some issues. Yeah, he's going to come back and be able to be a capable backup point guard or some one or two position. Thor is going to be back, and then we lose 3 guys. Sharif declares for the draft, and Thor might go to the draft. And we were like, man, what the hell? And I think that's the scary part of the transfer portal, especially if guys don't have to wait. You go, we thought we were stacked. You don't know what you have here. You think you know, but you don't really know what to expect. Right. But the benefit on the flip side for a coach like Bruce Pearl and a program like we have right now is we can get the guys right back because what we put out there, how we are channeling guys to the league right now, what you see with players improving year to year, that says, you know what you're doing. I'm going to trust you with my career and I will come and play for you.
Right
now, that's great if you have a coach that is developing the talent, that is producing the wins, and has the environment for a kid to develop. If you are that program, we will always be an attractive spot for recruits. So the transfer portal doesn't hurt us. A kid may not have gotten a lot of burn here. Good. Let him go find something else. Maybe he thought he would get a lot. Maybe we thought he would get a lot of burn when we got him. Didn't work out. Sometimes coaches do straight up lie. Mike, you're right. And other times, circumstances can create that. So it's a good thing if you have a good program. So let's hope and pray that we have the type of coaching program that we think we have from the outside looking in, because it would still be good for us.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely. So that being said, I want to segue to our last topic of the night here. ESPN released their 2021 FPI rankings. And here is where we stand. Alabama at 1, bunch of SEC teams in there, right? And we, Auburn, 16 overall. 16 overall. And I wanted to get everybody's thoughts on what they feel like that 16 ranking means. FPI, Football Power Index, is what that stands for. So, Ike, I'm going to start with you. 16 FPI. You all right with what they guys ranked?
Yeah, I'm fine. I think the only thing that's somewhat crazy about that ranking is who's ranked above us in a couple of those spots. But yeah, 16 overall is not terrible. I think that it's probably fair, maybe even a little high, because I just don't know that if this were an actual ranking to start the year, that we are the 16th best team in the country right now. We still have a lot that we have to prove with a lot of pieces that we don't exactly know how they're going to pan out. But 16 is just kind of, it's okay, right? It's nothing great. It's nothing terrible. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Brian, how you feel about 16 FBI?
It's too high. I didn't want us on the radar. I wanted us far below the radar with a lot to prove. I wanted to blow out Alabama State, and everybody's like, it's just Alabama State. I wanted to blow out Akron. Everybody's like, it's just Akron. I wanted to go to Penn State and shock the world.
Yeah, Penn State. So Penn State at 8. I mean, excuse me, at Mississippi State at 8 and Penn State at 10 were actually both shocks to me.
Right.
Yeah, they were. And so that's what I wanted to happen. I didn't want us getting even that favored, like a top 20 after the season we just had, with the problems we just had, with the changes we've got. That means that somebody's not sleeping on us as much as I thought they would be. And that's a little surprising. So somebody's paying attention to what we had on the shelves here and what type of program Harsin seems to be building. I don't know how to me, that's right. And let me say it that way. To me, that's right. That's accurate. I think we finish no worse than the 16 we started at.
Yeah,
that's really where I think we finished.
Let me jump back to this graphic because we had some people who had some questions about it, just so you understand what we're looking at. Every team in orange is a team that's on Auburn's schedule this year. And their national rank is in parentheses next to their name. You have the other teams that are on our schedule minus Alabama State down at the bottom. So Penn State, Georgia State, Akron. So just an idea of what our schedule looks like in orange. All the teams in the SEC ranked based upon where they are in the conference. National ranking is out to the side in parentheses, just so everybody has context for the graphic that you're looking at there.
Right. So inside the top 25, if I still saw that correctly, we got 6 teams in the FPI top 25 on our schedule.
Yeah.
Right. And that is classic SEC West, conundrum every year.
Yeah.
Where you've got all these teams now. Even though we're 16 FPI, they're still projecting our record around 7-5. Right. And that can't be understated. So I think we went on Mark. We talked about this over on Mark Rogers' video. So if you haven't seen that, I posted the link in the community section of our channel. So you can go over and watch that video. We did about a 45-minute segment with him. Ike and I did. And at the end, he asked us about this FPI ranking. And my thought about it was that this ranking really shows the respect that they have for the talent that we have, while acknowledging the schedule, how tough the schedule is.
Yeah,
this is a tough schedule. This is a tough schedule this year. So, in conference, we've got what will be a resurgent, I think, Ole Miss offense under Lane Kiffin. They looked very creative and explosive at times last year. You've got Texas A&M steadily on the rise. They've got some things that they have to replace, but if Jimbo Fisher can upgrade at quarterback, I'll be interested to see, how they scheme around having to replace what, correct me if I'm wrong, is almost their entire offensive line. Right.
Yeah, it's 4 out of the 5 at
right.
least.
So who are your surprises on this though? So Texas A&M above Georgia, does that feel right to everybody?
You know what? I just think that's the momentum that Jimbo Fisher has built there. And that may be a little bit of an kind of an overreaction to how they finished last season.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they had a great season by the numbers. Their only loss was to Alabama. Right. So
right.
I think that maybe that's just a little bit of an overreaction to last year's schedule. Now, Georgia has been pretty steady. Mississippi State is a big what in the entire actual hell to me. Right. I don't know what they think Mike Leach is going to do over there next year. But again, he is a marquee offensive mind in college football. Right. Florida, it's just Trask. Are they going to be able to replace the production that Trask put up behind what was a very below average offensive line with no running game?
Yeah.
Right. So they've got some things that they got to do right. Again,
I like that kid Jones, who was the backup there, though. He looked like he was going to be all right. Yeah.
He's not the pure passer that Trask was.
Yeah, but he's more athletic. So it's just and I trust the offensive coordinating mind there that will allow them to adjust what they need to do there. They lost a lot of talent, though.
Their defensive coordinator is Big Mid. That boy is burning paychecks over there. He is. I don't want to say whether he is or is not worth his money because I don't have the acumen to make that judgment. But listen, man, Todd Grantham, if he was just a hair better, then maybe they're playing in the playoff last year.
Right. I see in the comments here that we have the number 2 rated toughest schedule in the country behind Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right. And this is it, man. This is why when SEC teams go undefeated or have one loss, we make this a no-brainer that you make the playoffs. Because when you have to navigate this, especially in the West, right? It's just a no-brainer that they make it. So I just think we have a chance. 7 wins is about where I think we're at right now based on how we finished last season. Mm-hmm. Right. 8 wins is a bonus because you beat somebody who you lost to last year. 9 wins, you got a surprise win in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And 10 wins means Harsin really knows what he's doing in terms of scheme, right? There's room to move there. I don't see how we beat Alabama without just making a huge jump at the quarterback position this year. Right. I just don't see that. I mean, Bo Nix is going to have an all SEC type season, or whoever's at quarterback is going to have an all SEC type season for us to really have a chance in that game, or they're going to have to blow it.
Yeah,
They're going to have to lose it more than we're going to have to win it. And that's just where I'm at right now. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope as the season goes on that we prove to be more competent than we finished last season. Right.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I see Jonathan Whiteside. Appreciate you joining as a member, becoming an insider. Thank you so much. I hope to see you on that Chop It Up with a Pro here next Thursday. So this FPI stuff, I mean, it's not an exact science. It's their best guess based on numbers and statistics and things of that nature. But, Harsin is going to be really, his multiple offense, right, is going to be very new to a lot of people, because if you're an SEC defensive coordinator and you're scheming for Mike Bobo's offense, good luck. I don't think that's going to help you much this year, right? Some of our listeners here really hate Mike Bobo's offense, right? They really dislike Mike Bobo's offense. Yeah. And I'm telling you that similar to when Gus was here, he's going to execute Harsin's vision of offense, which I like. It's flexible. It puts us in a lot of different positions, and it utilizes playmakers in space. So, Bo will go under center, or whoever will go under center at some points. I just think it's going to be a hard defense to scheme for if we can execute it at any level. And it should give us a chance. Ball control, to your point, Ike, about can we, on the offensive side of the ball, flip the field and keep our defense in good positions, throughout, even if scoring isn't high, like put these guys in a position where our defense isn't fighting for their lives at the end of every quarter. Yeah. Because their dog get tired because we're losing time of possession.
Yeah. That's one of the things that is going to be, I think somebody mentioned it earlier when I was talking about, what is going to be a statistic that you want to see for the defense. What I want to see both offensively and defensively is first downs. Can we limit the number of first downs we give up, and can we stay on the field more than 3 plays, right? Like number 3 and outs that we have needs to be lower, way lower this year, in order for our defense to be not winded by the end of the season. So increasing the number of plays that we can, the length of our drives, right? Like we need to have those 10, 12, 14, down drives. And we need to make sure that our defense is being, at most, 6 plays, right? Like just don't have a ton of time on the field where you're just kind of giving ground, and then force them into a long field goal or a punt that is right there on the edge, or they got to take a 4th down try because they're just inside our 50. Like I just really want to live on their end of the field more this season, and stop having to be in the situations where we're hoping to get a good punt and coverage in order for the defense to be able to stop them. And then we can maybe get a turnover or something on their side. And then that's how we end up scoring. We just need to dominate that time of possession and really impose our will on teams a little bit more than we have been previously.
Yeah, absolutely. I see our friend ACCSSI has come back. Hey, listen, man, welcome back. You were real upset last week, but we're happy to have you back. With just a little better O-line, he already has 1 Iron Bowl win in his pocket. I mean, listen, nobody's denying that better O-line is going to help, right? I just think there are a myriad of other problems that need to be solved, right? So don't be surprised if O-line play improves, but we stall out a lot if decision making is still bad from the QB position. Yeah. Harsin acknowledged it. Right. He acknowledged it. He said, under pressure, we've got to make better decisions because you are not always going to get a clean pocket in our league. It's just not. Right. Yeah. And when you look at the under pressure stats for the better quarterbacks in our league, when you blitz them, they completely torch you, because when you blitz, somebody should be open.
Yeah. And a lot of that's gonna have to do with play calling too, right? Like we didn't have play calls that allowed us to adjust to fly on blitzes. They didn't give many outlets, but this is gonna be the big thing for me. Tank. Is our run game going to put us in a position where they have to respect it so much that guys are just out there butt naked? And it's just like, you just got to throw it to a guy who's not literally not being covered because they're so worried about our run game.
Right. Or vice versa. Right. Like, this is what I was hoping we were going to see after Nick Marshall. Right. What I was hoping we were going to see is that with a pocket passing QB, that they would have to respect our pass game so much that you could not crowd the line of scrimmage and then our backs would go wild.
Yeah.
Right. When is our pass game going to do something for our running backs for a change? That's how I really feel. I feel like it's got to work the other way around sometimes in some of these games.
That's to me is definitely about scheme and offensive line play. Though.
Right.
Like if you're not protecting the QB and the scheme doesn't allow you to get those quick opportunities. And I'm not talking about that stupid flare screen that we're doing. That's a part of what they're doing in these offenses these days. I mean, actual scheme stuff where you're matching up your running back or a tight end against a linebacker for a quick whatever, and allowing them to get in space and doing some damage in the seam or out in the flat. Like that's what I'm talking about quick plays. Or even, it doesn't have to be a quick. It could be not a draw, but a screen, right? Like an actual running back screen or a tight end screen, like middle screens. Those are things right now and that coaches are calling, right? A screen towards the middle for a running back or a tight end. Right. It's a novel concept. I know for those of you who've been watching Auburn football for the last 8 years, you can run a screen that's not a wide receiver screen to the outside when you have a trip set or a stack formation. There are other screens available to people, right? So
Jonathan Harris says he really likes Mike Bobo's run game. Kevin Harris killed us at USC. This is factual. This is all the way factual. Man, listen, they ran roughshod over us in that scheme that we went up against. And, we did enough to shoot ourselves in the foot during that game. But I just remember thinking, are we going to stop him? Yeah. Now he has Tank.
Right, exactly. And I'm loving and that's what I've been saying about Bobo this entire time. Whether you like his play designs, what I do like is how he makes sure that his game plan focuses on the people who he knows are going to be threats. We'll see where Shi Smith ends up getting drafted. But Shi Smith was a star at South Carolina because Mike Bobo knew he was that guy at wide receiver. I'm going to get the ball in his hands. And he knew Kevin Harris is a dynamic back. I need to make sure we're running this guy. And he did that. So there definitely is room for Bobo as a play caller and a game planner to execute schemes that are put together for different types of things, but he knows when to call the right play at the right time. That's the bigger thing for your offensive coordinator. The scheme that they're putting together for the game comes a lot from your analysts that they're doing. Like the analysts are doing a lot of the game film breakdown, and they're going to come up and figure out together. They put in the playbook together right now in the spring that they're going to try to execute in the fall and make sure we understand that. But it doesn't really matter what's in your playbook. Because let's be clear, we heard from former players, they practiced a bunch of stuff at Auburn the last 8 years that they never ran on Saturdays, right? So what's in your playbook is irrelevant if the guy who's calling plays on Saturdays isn't actually calling the play. So we have to make sure the guy who's calling the plays understands how to beat the team that we're preparing for. And I have confidence that Bobo can call the right plays if they're in the playbook form to call, right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on. Yeah. Appreciate this new membership that we had sliding here. I just saw it somewhere. Where it is.
That's encouraging. 43. Oh,
yeah. There it is. Boom. Appreciate you jumping on in here, new member. But yeah, man. So I'm confident in our ability to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing how they scheme here. I see there are a couple comments here that make me laugh. Big Gap says that I'm gonna be a Bo fan this year. I certainly hope so.
Listen, if he's the guy, why not be a fan of him?
I'm a fan. I'm a fan regardless because I'm an Auburn fan. So I'm rooting for Bo. If he starts the season, I'd like to see him end the season. Yeah. Right. If I don't want to see us struggling, switching out quarterbacks after 4 games, still searching for an offensive identity. That's what I don't want to see. Yeah. So if this is the decision that Harsin is making, I'm going to trust it right now because he seems aware of at least what needs to be done better. right? Which means that he'll keep him on a tight leash, man, if he's not doing the things that's being asked of him, right? I think the offensive line will improve this year. I'm confident they'll improve this year. I'm confident that Bo will improve some this year. But if he doesn't, we don't need him to be. What Mark Rogers asked us, Ike. What did he ask us? He asked us about what would be an acceptable completion percentage for Bo, right? And I just think mid-60s is a reasonable progression for him this year, right? If he can improve from what has been 58, 59% to like 65, 66%, I'm good. Because that extra 5% can be the better decisions that he's making that will give us a chance in a lot of games that we, have not had a chance in over the last 2 years. I think that's reasonable. Winning quarterbacks in our league have been in the 70s over the last 3 years.
Yeah, the better quarterbacks in the nation are going to be in the 70s. But again, I don't need you to be the best quarterback in the SEC. Somebody talked about Bo Nix was rated out of the teams in the top 25 in the FPI of quarterbacks. He was like number 21 of the top 25 quarterbacks. I don't care. I don't care if you are a Heisman contender. Right. And I said this when I talked, we were talking with Mark. I want to see you be in the mid-60s in completion percentage, and I want to see your touchdown to interception ratio be low. Like I want it to be a high ratio of touchdowns to interceptions. So take care of the ball and complete the passes that are available there to you. That's all I care about.
Right.
King is adamant that it should be 70%.
Hey, listen.
If he's at 70%, I'm very happy. I'm just saying that
I'm buying a Bo Nix jersey if he throws to 70%.
Is that a commitment? Is that a promise?
Yes, 100%. I am buying a Bo Nix.
Wait, 100%. Don't change it now. I thought it was 70.
No, he's saying he's
100%.
I know.
Right, I'll go buy Bo Nix.
Again next week.
Y'all heard it here first. If Bo Nix ends the season with a 70% completion percentage, Mike is going to wear a Bo Nix jersey.
Facts
Because I'm banking we're going to go to the SEC championship if that happens. So he's going to wear it on our preview show for the SEC championship game.
Right.
Bo Nix jersey. So y'all go ahead and pony up a few dollars to make sure that happens.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he's going to pay his own money for that.
Yeah. So speaking of which, our GoFundMe, you can find this link in the bottom section of our YouTube channel. If you want to see me in a Bo Nix jersey, you can donate there to help make that dream happen if Bo hits 70% completion percentage. Well, we're nearing the end here, guys. 8 days coming. So I want to come full circle here for a second. About again, what we hope to see is a reminder to our viewers, right? For me, it's just I just want to see development, right? I want to see that guys know their assignments. I want to see some of the results of this strength and conditioning program that they've been through, that they've raved about, right? There were a lot of comments about Shivers just looking like just a ball of muscle, and I just want to see that we have a clear plan in terms of the 2 deep, right? We seemed 1 deep at a lot of positions, especially offensively. So I want to see how much did they bring along those second string guys? Yeah. So that we have a backup. And the better teams in our league, man, when the starter goes down, it's just next man up, and they keep pushing, right? So that's what I want to see. And then who's number 2? Who's number 2 behind Bo?
Yeah.
Right. Is it Demetrius Davis? I'm pulling for this kid. I really like him. I hope we don't have to throw him to the Wolves this year. But I think, he's got a chance to be one of the most dynamic quarterbacks that we've seen here in quite some time. Maybe since, Nick Marshall. But he's got a chance to be something special. Brian, what are you looking? What are your hopes for A-Day?
Shea Garnett. I want to see him play more meaningful snaps than just practice snaps. I want to see him play. I want to see him play against the ones. I hope that he alternates drives against the first team defense, though, because I want to see equal pairing of, you may have burned the second team defense. So if Bo struggles against the first team, but say they put Shea in there and he plays against the second team, then if he shows really well, they can kind of spin it. Oh, well, we expect him to play well against this. No. Yes, we understand it would create a controversy, and the media and the fan base will go crazy if Bo plays mediocre against the first team and Shea kills it against the first team. But that is the reality. If you have one guy who can competently perform against the same competition that the other guy struggled against, now that's your situation. You're the head coach, so deal with it. Don't protect Bo if Bo isn't playing well enough to get the job done. Don't create optics like this was fair and even and it was no, okay. If Shea's the better guy, I want to see it. And I'm only saying Shea because he looks the part and he's the more mature of the younger quarterbacks. That's the only reason I'm saying Shea. I'm not excited at all to see Grant Lloyd. And he's going to take some snaps from somebody that we really want to see. God bless him. I mean, he's there. We hope he does well if he gets the chance, but he's gone after this year. I'm not interested in him. I'm interested more so in what we got going forward. We know what our cap is for this year. It's 9 is high, even though that's my expectation. 8 is likely. 10 is pie in the sky. So we're not going to win the SEC this year. We're not going to win a national championship this year. So if that's the case, I want to know what next year looks like. And I want to know that this staff set us up to win next year.
Man, these comments are hilarious.
Hilarious. Yeah, I'm dying. Billy Jones says, can we get Gus on here so we can ask him WTF?
Billy, to watch the film.
Yeah, right. You know what, Billy? I hope one day we're big enough that we can make that happen just for you, my friend. Just for you.
Yo, so people have been asking. Let me just go ahead and put this out there. B. Will lives in Auburn. I am making the trip down to Auburn this weekend. I don't intend to go to the game, but I will be out there wandering around. So if you are not following us on Twitter and or Instagram, then you might not know where I'm going to pop up, because I'm just going to pop up a couple of places and I'm going to probably like go live from wherever I'm at and be like, yo, I'm going to be here. Y'all come holler at me. And I'm going to try to have some, just follow us on social media so you know what's up, because I will be down in Auburn this weekend, wandering around campus randomly. So, yeah.
Right. So, Ike, closing thoughts here on A-Day.
Yeah. For me, A-Day, again, the trenches, I want to see what it's going to look like. I do really want to see what we are going to be doing. Somebody mentioned this in the tight end room. Like, I want to see how we're going to be utilizing. I forgot who it was that had the quote that said the tight ends are definitely being used differently now than they ever had been previously. So I want to see what that's going to look like.
Luke Deal.
Yeah, Luke Deal. Yeah. So listen, I want to see it. Like, because we've been hearing about the tight end position for like 3 years, and then we get into the season and it's the same old tight end. I'm tired of that. I need to see something else happening with that position. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see that this year. And I'm just excited to watch from Auburn football, man. Listen, whatever happens, let us be better than last year, and let us go out here and make some people respect us this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, become an insider. If you want more content like this, this is how you can support the work that we're doing. $5.99 will get you there. We appreciate our supporters as well, too. You do get early access to content, building rapport, and grumpy face Gus emojis and all kinds of things to being a supporter. Insiders get Chop It Up with a Pro, as well as more content that we're adding for insiders this summer. So it will not always just be Chop It Up with a Pro. We're working that out, but you guys will get that in addition to other content that we are bringing you. Our GoFundMe is live. You can support our work this way in the About channel of our YouTube section. Our merch store is up. Get your weight up gear is hot off the presses. You can get that. And then Chop It Up with a Pro, Chris Todd, next Thursday for our insiders. We beat that over your head. Our next building rapport segment, Monday. This goes for if you are a channel member. Cole Kublick joined us for a conversation about all things Auburn football. So this will go live Saturday for members, Monday for everybody else. But we sat down with Cole just to talk. Ike and Caesar sat down with Cole just to talk football and get his thoughts on Brian Harsin program. And it was really a great interview. So we appreciate Cole Kublick for doing that for us. So gentlemen, we are signing off.
Hold on. Let me say this one more thing before we go. My bad. We will be doing some game day lives. So we're going to be live 30 minutes prior to kickoff for A-Day, and then we'll do a post game live for you all. So you guys join us here for a little pregame action, little tailgate action for Saturday, and a post-game reaction. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Listen, so yeah, we'll post that up so that you guys know when it's coming. It'll be on the schedule. Gentlemen, just want to say thank you one more time to the most amazing subscriber base on YouTube. I really appreciate you guys' engagement and being a part of our community. We're blessed to be here to do this with you. We're signing off as always. War Eagle.
War Eagle.